to another episode of My Debt-Free Reality. My name is Alvin Jordan, and this is my lovely wife, Andre Jordan.
Hello everyone, and welcome. We're glad that you're with us. We have been moving right along, sharing our journey about becoming debt-free and giving tips, nuggets, information, strategies for you also to experience the simplicity of becoming debt-free. We left off last time talking about gathering every obligation and responsibility, and we were a little bit rushing at the end, so we want to take a little bit more time and make sure everybody is clear, everybody understands this, because this is a crucial step and you're getting very close to actually establishing and formatting a spending plan, otherwise known as a budget, to make your debt-free reality possible. If you are just joining us, welcome. Glad that you're taking a part. We talked about the mindset transformation that is necessary to shift from a place of debt to a place of debt freedom. We talked about assessing where you are, taking the time to do a spending log to see where am I, so I can understand what it will take to get me where I want to go and what I need to do. And so moving right along, we were talking about now, if you've done your spending log, if you haven't done a spending log, take the time and do it. Okay, everybody can be at their own pace, just follow the steps. It will still get you to a debt-free destination. So if you haven't done a spending log, do your log first and then catch up with us and pull out I wanted to bring like a stack of bills. So pull out every bill that you own, every obligation, and then we're hoping to bring out some that maybe you aren't even thinking about. Want to help you think through things that might not be a monthly bill or a monthly statement, but that you're still responsible for. So we're going to just take our time and we're going to go step by step by step, and we're going to share information on each category. Last time we were together, we talked about household expenses, and we talked about automobile expenses, and then we kind of talked about a couple various things, but we're just going to go step by step by step and be really clear. So the first thing is still focusing on your household expenses, and just to recap that, the biggest thing in that category would be, what would you say, Alvin?
Your general bills that you always pay every month. I mean, your light, your water, your major bills.
So the most major household bill that I just think of off the top of my head is usually your mortgage. So your mortgage is gonna be that probably take, most of the paycheck. Monthly is gonna usually go to the mortgage. So of course your mortgage is gonna be in your household expenses, and then break down some of the other bills that they're gonna also have grouped in that category. So we don't want you to leave out a bill, and that's kind of why we're taking time, because if you aren't in the habit of doing this, sometimes you minimize the obligations because you're just thinking, of just whatever the current bill is. But we're trying to get a whole monthly picture here. So you want to take time and just go step by step, and you want to be thinking, what else? Did I miss one? Okay, what am I forgetting? So talk to one another and dialogue and help one another remember all those bills and responsibilities and obligations that come each month. So the mortgage, and what other bills?
Oh, you got your lights, you got water, you got cable, you got phone, you got, I don't know if we want to group cell phones in there.
So both of your phone bills can be there.
Yeah.
I say internet. Most of us have internet at home, so that's another one to put into that category. So mortgage, lights, water, phone, cell bills, security alarms. Let's see. I don't know if me and Alvin are forgetting any. Sometimes you have insurances connected to your home. So if you do, Whether a lot of times now our homeowner's insurance is wrapped into the mortgage, so a lot of times that's not separate. But I want to go ahead and throw out property taxes because everybody's situation is different. So I just want you thinking about the items and knowing if yours is wrapped into the mortgage, you're good. If not, that's something that you need to think about, because suppose you don't have a mortgage any longer and that property tax bill comes annually once a year. Well, instead of you thinking, I've got to come up with, usually, perhaps thousands of dollars for your property taxes, you can plan, well, what is it annually divided by 12? And remember, that's how we're going to write that one down. Whatever it is, the annual bill divided by 12, we're going to put that down as a monthly obligation. So take your time and think about everything that goes into the care and the maintenance of your home. And you're going to group that as housing. Then really quick, we're going to recap on the auto. The biggest thing in the auto category is, of course, what?
The auto payment, if you have a payment.
Okay, so auto payment, what in our home, we have more than one vehicle. So a lot of you may have more than one vehicle. So it might not be an auto payment, but it might be auto payments. It might be multiple. Families today, there's 2 cars. Sometimes there's 2 car notes. So of course, both car notes. And if you've got 2 cars and 2 car notes, what else do you have?
You have all the maintenance that come along with the car. You have to think about things like tires. You have to think about oil changes. You have to think about the way you're going to clean the car. Like we said last week, are you going to do it at home yourself, or are you going to have it detailed? All those things are things you need to consider, and it needs to be written down, and how you're going to take care of it. It's going to be put in the budget.
And also, if you've got 2 vehicles, you're going to have 2 car insurances. Or if you've got 3 vehicles, you've got 3 car insurances. You've got 3 auto tags. You've got 3 oil changes. So there's a lot of things that we overlook until we need to pay the bill. Then we're like, oh, this bill is due. But it's coming the whole time. So a lot of what we're talking about and sharing is the preparation necessary. So you want to think now about those bills that are coming. You want to go ahead and put them in. How frequently do you change the oil annually? Maybe you change it 4 times a year. Okay, so that would be 4 times a year for each vehicle. What does that add up to? Add it up, divided by 12. That's what we're kind of planning now to put aside for that. So the whole beauty and flow and ease of having a spending plan is that whatever is due, the dollars are there. And so that's what we're trying to get you to, that place. Whatever is due, the dollars are there. We want to remove this scrambling, reactive type of living with our finances. We want to be people of preparedness and people that have dollars obeying our command, and dollars that are following the assignments that we give to them. So that's what we're moving to.
Also, the main thing we want to get away from is that old saying that people like to use a lot of time, rob from Peter to pay Paul. Mm-hmm. We're not going to do that anymore. Money's 100%, like I always say, and we're going to get away from that scenario. Because if money's already allocated for something, you don't have to start robbing from Peter to pay Paul, because the money's there to pay whatever the money was assigned to pay. So we're going to get away from that mindset. We're going to get away from that situation of having to do that.
Okay, so there's going to be no more need for robbing Peter to pay Paul, because everybody's going to have their own money. Okay, Peter's going to have his, Paul's going to have his. Every category is going to have its own money set aside waiting for the assignment that it's purposed for.
I'd like to reiterate something. I know we possibly mentioned this, but I know we also need to, with all that collecting you're doing, please, please, please collect the dates that they're due, because that is vital. Because the reason that is so vital, sometimes we're going to have to, it depends on the way they fall, we may have to, it'll all happen when we get into the budget situation, paycheck. It's important that we have the dates on those bills of when they're due.
Well, since Alvin brought that up, let me put a pin in going any further with categories, and let's just go back and talk about what we talked about last time. We said you needed a few tools, and last time I actually brought the props. Tonight I didn't bring the props, but I'm going to just tell you, so make a quick list. You need a calendar, and that's kind of what he was talking about. So you need a calendar. Last time I showed you a calendar from the Dollar Tree, so just get a calendar, get a notepad or some paper, get a pen, and get a calculator. And so you do need to write down these things. The bill's due date. You need to write down the amount that is due monthly. You need to write down the total balance for the bill. If it's something that is more than just a monthly bill that you're incurring, like a utility where you just are charged monthly for the usage of that month, that's going to be the total balance. But some of us are carrying bills or cards or indebtedness that has like maybe a total balance of $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever it is. So you want to write that down too. So bill due date, the amount that the bill is due, the amount that is due monthly, and the total balance. You want to record those 3 items.
Let me reiterate something too. A lot of time when we're getting close to paying off a bill, there's a difference between what you owe and a payoff amount. Sometimes those are 2 separate amounts, because if you call a company and ask how much you owe, sometimes they're adding their interest in there. But you say, no, if I had the money right today to pay you off, how much do I owe you today to pay you totally off? And you'll notice they're going to give you a different amount. So keep that in mind.
Okay, so let's jump back to categories. Okay, we talked really thoroughly about food as a category. We talked thoroughly about the auto as a category. Let's go a little further and talk about some of the other things that are coming up in our budgets and spending plans. What about medical things? So what about things related to either health, doctors, medicine? A lot of us are taking some type of a tablet or some type of pill or prescription, at least, you know, in your home between parents and children. Somebody a lot of times is taking some form of medicine. How often do you go to the doctors? How many prescriptions? What are those total up to? Cleanings, dentists, eye doctors. There's just a lot of things that can kind of be in that medical category. So you were supposed to do a spending, you're supposed to do, the spending log where you tracked where the dollars were going, and now you're going to use that information to kind of figure out what about is an average amount that you would spend each month in that category. When it comes to health, do you have a gym membership? Are you paying for that monthly? Anything else, Alvin, you can think of that would fall under health and doctors and prescriptions that maybe I didn't mention?
I think we pretty well covered everything in that category. I mean, I think you really covered that one pretty well.
So if there's any co-pays and insurance fees there, that's going to be another place that you're going to group that together. So we've covered food, not food, we've covered household obligations and responsibilities. We've covered auto, because we started with the biggest, and then we covered prescriptions and doctors and those types of things that can be infrequent, but when you've got multiple members in the house, especially small children, they can be more frequent than you know, because we're taking different, if you have 1 child, 2 child, 3 children, 4 children, you're taking them to the doctor at different times. So since I mentioned food, let's jump over there. We did speak about food prior. Food is a sneaky category that can be very greedy and use up a lot of dollars if you don't pay close attention to it. And I say that because a lot of times when it comes to food, people, will go to the grocery store without a grocery list, go to the grocery store hungry, and so at those times you're just kind of like starving and ravenous, so everything ends up in your cart. And then if you're going to the big stores like Walmart and Costco and Sam's, well, they've got, you could come out of there with a lawnmower, and, talking about it's part of your food budget. So food, you want to be mindful. You want to be mindful. So you might have used you might have completed your spending log and came up with an amount about what you're spending on food. And so food doesn't have a bill due date, but it is a necessity, and we're all needing to allocate some dollars for food. So you need to talk about this, and this is a good one to have a dialogue. How much are you spending? And then maybe look at what percentage of your budget is being used for food, the purchase of food. We talked before, we said don't include dining out as a part of your food budget. When it comes to the food, think about staples: milk, eggs, cereal, meat to cook, vegetables to cook. Think about the actual staples that make up meal plans. That's your food, and that's what I want you to use for that category. So what amount of food do you need for a family of 2, for a family of 4, for a family of 6? We've got to learn, and we're going to share more strategies in the future about how to take the dollars you have and make them work the best that they can work for you. So there isn't a right or wrong, but it needs to be relative to what Alvin has said. You cannot spend more than 100%. So whatever you're allocating for food needs to leave room for the other obligations you have. So you can't take half of your paycheck monthly and spend on food when all of the other things add up to more than 50% of your dollars. So you can't exceed 100%. That is the max. So you might want to look at what you're doing for food, and then you might want to consider what can we do differently when it comes to food. We're going to talk more, but maybe this is one to just begin thinking. Can we change some of the what we've been doing there? Can we do something differently with food? Can we decide to cook more if we haven't even really been cooking? So food is very, very important. And typically, in a lot of individuals that we've met with, that we've worked on budget information with, personally, it's a category that a lot of times there's a lot of spending going on. And it's a lot of times the first place that you can recognize way to successfully minimize and still eat healthy and still eat good, but discover some hidden dollars that maybe you didn't realize.
The reason a lot of times, and I want to reiterate what Andre was saying about mixing the food and the going out with the regular food budget. It may be a situation now where you're so tight that you're not going to be able to go out. So we don't want that to become a habit, that something that may have to go away for a while. So that's why we don't want you incorporating that in on pulling money out of the food budget for that.
When we get there to dining out, we'll talk about it, because dining out is important. It is important to have some sense of splurging and treating oneself, but sometimes, depending on the dollars, like Alvin is saying, you might have to be creative. You might have to be strategic. You might have to let a homemade ice cream cone from the ice cream shop and a walk on the beach be a small cost, but the experience be a way that you treat yourself. So there's all types of strategies where you don't have to feel deprived, because we definitely don't want you to feel deprived, but you do need to be wise, and you do need to work with the dollars you have in this moment, and realize the more that you work with the dollars you have, the more dollars you're going to have in another moment. So it requires diligence, it requires patience, it requires commitment. And so let's go further. So we talked about food, your household bills, we talked about the automotive responsibilities, we talked about doctors, insurance, prescriptions. What else? What are we missing? There's a lot of things that go on in expenditures each month. Let's talk about some of the personal things with maybe grooming and other personal areas that we need to discuss. So in our house, we have 2 sons, so there's definitely grooming of hair. So do you plan for the fact that maybe you get your hair cut twice a month? Maybe you get your hair cut 4 times a month? Maybe as women, we get our hair done once a week. These are expenditures, and sometimes we're not planning for it. So we run short because I'm gonna get my hair done, I'm gonna get my nails done, but we don't realize since 100% is the max and you can't exceed 100%, if I take dollars and use them for my hair, but I need that money to pay my utility bill, I've messed up. So we want to plan for how much do you think we're going to spend monthly getting our hair done, getting our nails done, getting haircuts, getting shaves, whatever it is. And when it comes to personal grooming or personal care or things of a personal nature, if you have small children, what about getting a babysitter so you can go out and go see a movie without the kids? You know, there's all types of things that just come under like a different like personal expenses for the house that aren't necessarily a monthly bill coming in, but there are things that we do that we need to consider and think about.
And a lot of things that you have to think about too, a lot of the things that can go longer, sometimes we do things just by habit instead of by dollars and cents sometimes. Like the hair, sometimes we possibly can get away with 2 weeks. Do we really need to get it done every week? Sometimes those things are just by habit or customs or what you're used to doing. But at one time maybe you were at a different point in your life financially also. So consider those things too, and be willing and flexible to change some habits that you have developed over the years.
So Alvin is bringing out a good point. Let's ask ourselves this, are you doing things that really in this season, not forever, but in this season, can you afford to do? Sometimes we do get stuck on, I want what I want, which is a whole nother conversation talking about needs versus wants. But sometimes we get stuck on, I want what I want, but you're in a season where you can't afford that in this season. So you have to be current with your season. And it's okay to make decisions that in this season, I will forego that for the greater good of the season that's coming. So you have to be flexible and you have to be willing to evaluate and look at what I can and can't do, and be willing to let something go if you have to let it go because of what the dollars are telling you.
I just want to jump in there and say this too. A lot of time when we help people with the budgets and things like that as well, the biggest problem is with people a lot of time, they're trying to keep up with one another. They're concerned about the status quo. You can't worry about the status quo and keeping up with the Joneses or whoever you want to put name in there. You can't be concerned about keeping up with other people. The only person that you need to be concerned about at this time in your life right now is you and your situation. Everybody else's situation, they're dealing with their own situation, because you don't know how people are living. I've been in people that have a beautiful house on the outside. You walk in there, there's no furniture in the house. But see, you don't know how these people are living. So get away from what people think about you. And a lot of times people aren't thinking about much about you as you think they're thinking about you. So you don't have to live for people.
That was really good, and it's very interesting. So you want to be careful because you're vested in what you're doing. You're committed to what you're doing. You want to be very careful that you don't allow, like Alvin said, what people may or may not be even thinking about you to be a distraction to you. You want to be focused on what you have decided and committed to. You're committing to getting debt free. And so don't let people, don't let anything else distract you from that. Stay focused. That's a big key. Stay focused, stay committed, work your numbers, pull out those bills, make a note. What's the amount due each month? What's the bill date due? What is the total amount balance due?
And also stay prayerful. The main thing, take all your requests before the Lord. Lay them all at His feet. He knows it all. He knows all your situation, all your circumstances. He's concerned about the things you're concerned about. I mean, He can just miraculously do some things that you never thought was possible, but God can do it. He's God.
So don't forget, no matter how much we're saying, make a note, jot this information down. Alvin's right. Don't neglect prayer. Don't neglect the importance of inviting God in it. Don't neglect the importance of presenting your bills to the Lord and committing even our bills to God. Don't neglect the difference that Christ in this journey with you is going to make. So back to the categories. Clothing. You got children, clothes, shoes. It's back to school time currently. That's a biggie coming every fall, back to school time, buying clothes, buying books, buying backpacks, whether your kids are in college, whether they're in elementary, high school. That's a biggie. Have you prepared for that? Or is it a struggle that now at this season of the year, you're having to put out $300 to $500 per child or whatever it is that you plan to spend on your children? That can be a setback. If you have like 3 to 4 kids, you're like, wow. When you look at the price of shoes, come on. It is ridiculous in how fast kids grow, and they need different clothes, the things that they just were out of school in May and now they've outgrown it, and everybody needs new jeans, and whether it's school uniform. So clothing is a big deal, from head to toe, to be able to clothe ourselves and clothe our children. If you work in corporate America and you need to dress a certain way, clothes can be a big budget item. But remember, no matter what, you cannot spend more than 100%. So you have to be mindful, and you might need to be creative with how you shop for clothes and how you shop with sales. So hair care, cosmetics, just so many different things that detergent, soap, dish detergent, all of the cleansers. I like to kind of, if you put them in the food budget, I like to kind of know what they are and kind of see how much we're spending there, because it's another place. If you're like hyper big into cleaning, you can spend a lot of money on cleaning supplies. They're almost like $5 a bottle for whatever it is you're grabbing, but you can't buy all of it at once. So each month you're allocating some dollars for that category too. And then if you forget anything, I like to use miscellaneous for if you have a newspaper subscription, or miscellaneous. A lot of times I like to just say for whatever ran over more than you anticipated. I like to tuck a few dollars in just a miscellaneous category. Perhaps you want to buy a paper today, or you might want to buy a magazine, or just some random thing that hardly ever will be a monthly obligation, but sometimes you need a few tucked away dollars. I like to do miscellaneous. But so you can see tonight we recapped and went through all of these categories. Please take time this week and do this assignment. Pull out every bill, every financial obligation and responsibility. Do these: the bill due date, the amount due, the total balance. We're going to show you next how to actually develop your spending plan, your budget, how to allot the dollars, how to make it work. And you're going to find out, do I have a surplus, plenty of money left over after I do everything, or do I have a deficit? And then we're going to talk and share strategies. Whichever one you have, don't worry about that. Don't focus on surplus or deficit. Just do the assignment. And whatever shape you're in, we're going to help you work it out. Please reach out to us, mydebtfreereality@gmail.com. We are happy to respond and answer your questions. We're looking forward. We've been getting great positive feedback, and we're looking forward to answering questions as we're talking about this. Thanks for being with us. We love what we do. We can't wait to share with you the simplicity of becoming debt-free. Stay with us on My Debt Free Reality.